A very warm and pleasant good evening to everyone. We are absolutely delighted to welcome all the participants joining us today for this session, Legal Research and Publication. It is a true pleasure to have each and every one of you with us this evening. We hope this session will deliver practical insights into legal research and publication, foster professional growth, and facilitate your transition from law school to legal practice. Today's session is organized by the Collective Counsel, a platform dedicated to bridging the gap between legal education and legal practice through practical learning initiatives, mentorship opportunity, skill-based programs, career-focusing training. Our objective is simple to help law students and young legal professionals develop practical skills, gain industry exposure, and prepare themselves for successful legal career. I am honored to introduce our distinguished speaker for today's session. We are privileged to be joined by Advocate Maleeka Jabeen, an accomplished expert in legal research and publication, who is deeply committed to mentoring the next generation of legal profession. On behalf of the Collective Counsel, I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am. Without further delay, I would like to hand over the session to you. Over to you, ma'am.
I don't understand why the camera is blurred. Give me a moment to figure this out. So, hello everybody, good evening. Thank you for the introduction, Piyush. I do not see any cameras on as of now. Guys, please turn on your cameras. Okay. So, I want this to be a interactive session. So, I want you people to talk, introduce yourselves in the messages as we proceed. Put your questions in the messages, and I'll be more than happy to take it up. Before I introduce myself, okay, so can I get some hi, hello, good evening, something? Unmute yourself and talk, please.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Who was
Good
that?
evening,
It's good
ma'am.
evening, beta. Good evening. How are you all?
All good.
All good.
Yeah, hi. So this
I
is the
remember the
energy that
school.
I want.
I
Sorry?
remembered a school and I remembered school and by mistake I said good morning, ma'am.
I do understand. No problem. No problem. As long as you're participating, as long as you're interactive, it's all good. So, okay. Let us delve into the session right away. Before introducing myself, I would ask you a question. How many of you have ever thought of writing a research paper? Anyone? Nice,
Ma'am,
nice.
I cannot
And
say that it was a proper research paper, but I tried once or some time ago.
okay, right. So now keep your hands raised if you actually have written one, actually tried drafting one, actually have got into writing. I see the number of hands coming down. So this is completely okay. And today, this session is not about judging where you are. It's about helping you take your first step towards legal research, legal writing, and legal publication. A little bit about myself. My name is Advocate Maleeka Jabeen. I am a practicing advocate at the High Court of Telangana. Before getting into actual practice and litigation, I have been working for several years throughout my college days and then post college also into academic publishing, editorial management, proofreading, manuscript review, and academic writing, and legal research. So I come with a bit of poetry background as well. That is where I find my curiosity from. Like, I am very curious to delve deeper into subjects about life, basically, and then that interest kind of pivoted into the professional aspect of my life, and that is why I decided to name this session as From Curiosity to Publishing. So I wanted to outline the importance of curiosity in research. I wanted to outline how researchers think. Basically, it's not about only writing, it's not about only the professional aspect of things. It's not going to be a theoretical session. I wanted to help you to see the thought process that goes into research. So, let me tell you something. When people look at a published paper, they only see the PDF. They don't see your draft number 1. They don't see your draft number 3, 13, and so on. Then, when we are actually published, it's like the achievement that we put on the LinkedIn post. It's only the PDF and it's only the certification, but nobody tells you what process goes into actual research and then all of the editing. Where do you basically write a research paper from scratch? So today we are going to do that. Let me just see what our first slide says. Okay. Here I want to quote something. My most favorite quote relating to legal research and writing. Basically, it's it's not related completely to research and writing, but it goes like, judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. So that kind of questions that you ask is what decides the kind of perspective you are building, and basically it gives you a picture of what a person is actually thinking. So research basically it begins with questions. Law begins with questions. Justice begins with questions. Even courts, they do not begin with the facts of the cases first. The first question that litigators ask, the first question that a court asks is if a legal right has been violated. And today I intend that we will be the takeaway that I intend to deliver today is asking better questions. Moving further to, can we just move the slide? Sakshi, I need the slide 1. So, discussing why research actually matters. First, you give me the perspective on why do you think research matters? Yeah, why do you want to get yourself published? Anybody?
To dive in the particular legal problem or giving solution to a problem or a current scenario of people.
Ma'am, personally, when I thought of getting
Correct,
published, I
correct.
think about uh, getting my views to other people also.
Right. Giving opinions to dive deeper into the subjects, fulfilling the gaps. Right. And transparently, I will be sharing my journey as well as we progress through the session to understand the problem. Right. So, provided the perspectives that you guys are giving, I can tell you, you guys are uh, halfway there to the first step of legal writing and research. When I first asked this question to a group of students in third and fourth year, their basic intention to get published was because it appears better on the CV, because it will pave way to better internship opportunities, better job opportunities, because it adds weight to your resume. Basically, it was like that. But research matters because it is your contribution towards legal discussions outside the courtroom, outside the physical domain of law, but you're kind of contributing your opinions. Opinion would not be the right word, but you're contributing uh, to the policy, to the framing of policies, right?
Interpretation.
Interpretation is a completely different subject. Interpretation is done by judges, basically interpretation of statutes and stuff like that. It is core litigation and core courtroom procedure, I would say. But yeah, contributing to research helps policymakers get an opinion, and your opinion will be used in building the statutes and building the policies, building frameworks that would govern different aspects of law. Even if you're not like directly participating in the decision making, you have a say in the decision making. That is why actually legal research and writing matters, right? um, Let me check if I missed anything. So suppose a client comes to you with the case. What is the first step that you take? And he narrates to you all the facts of the case, and he gives you everything. He gives you the brief and stuff, and then he asks this question: can I win the case? What would be the answer that you would give him?
Verifying by the facts, if they are on the favorable terms, they would definitely win. But for that, we would have to check first.
Yeah, true. Like, what would be the course of action that you would adopt?
First, we will dive into that case.
100% assure him that he will win.
One by one, people. Who was speaking? So sorry. Somebody was speaking, right? By understanding it better,
I was
verifying the
saying,
facts.
I was saying first, I will dive into the case.
Dive into the case as in what? What is the course of action that you would adopt? So to that question, basically, if somebody asks us, can I win the case? We can neither say yes at the go. We can neither say no. Somebody wrote research and investigate. Yeah, that is the answer that I was looking for. We will begin researching even as litigators. So research, legal research and writing, it's not just a researcher's job. It is not like you are out of the domain of practical implementation. Even as litigator, even as judiciary officer, even when you are on the bench, research still matters. So first thing first that we'll do is we'll begin researching. We will check the relevant statutes, we'll check the relevant laws, we'll find out the provisions that apply to a particular case, and then we'll read the previous judgments, and then we'll find out precedents that favor our client. That is the course of action that a litigator follows. You'll take in the facts of the case, you'll begin your research, you'll find relevant provisions, you'll find relevant judgments, you'll find precedents that are favorable to you, and you'll also look through the precedents that would favor the opposing side, right? And then you'll understand the legislative intent. That is how you find answers even when you are working on a case as a litigator. And that is basically what goes into research as a legal researcher as well. It's research is not about uh, gathering information. It is learning how to think and question. Now, if given a particular topic of research, the first things first that most students do is they go to Google, they search, they type their required topic and start the research. Nowadays, it's more of a chat GPT driven job, correct? Uh, you go to India Kanun, and then there are tools like this that serve as research tools. But the what distinguishes a good researcher is the fact that a good researcher asks questions like, if there's a landmark judgment that is in discussion, then you'll have to ask, why did the Supreme Court reach this conclusion? What was the need that the Supreme Court had to lay down certain guidelines? What would the outcome be different? Like, what facts would make the outcome any different? Or is there any high court that has a contrary view to what the Supreme Court has already said? And suddenly, this approach to research would make you a distinguished researcher. You are already thinking out of the crowd. Now, suppose there is an ongoing discussion uh, of, say, the men's rights bill that has been introduced in the parliament. So everybody is writing about it. Everybody is posting about it. You'll have to find out something that makes you uh, different from what everybody else is doing. Because even when a client comes to you, the client comes with problem, right? The client does not come with you with ready research questions. I have been asked so many times by, like, whenever I am having a discussion with students come up to me and they're like, ma'am, please suggest a good research topic. But that is what is the basic foundation of research. We cannot suggest your topic. No expert can suggest your topic. It is you who have to decide which topic to delve deeper, to be able to interpret things differently than the usual course of interpretation. That is what makes your research stand out. And if things are not making sense, you guys can ask me questions. Please drop in your questions in the messages as well. Or you can unmute yourself, excuse yourself, and then feel free to approach and ask, okay? So, for research, I would say three habits are essential for any researcher. First things first, that is patience. A good research can never be rushed. Now, suppose you come across an opportunity whose deadline is, say, 2 days after, like 2 days later. You cannot think and say, "Okay, I will be able to complete it in the set frame of time, and I'll just submit for publishing." So that is not the approach that we want. Good research takes time, takes energy, takes a lot of editing, re-editing, revision. Uh, you have your first draft ready by today. Leave it for 2 days, leave it for 3 days, come back, and then you'll see so many possible revisions with a fresh state of mind. So first habit that you'll have to develop as a researcher is to be patient. Second thing, I would say humility, because every article that you read, every other research paper that you refer, and every material that you refer for your research, it reminds you of how much you still don't know. So research builds humility. And the most important, like I mentioned earlier, is curiosity. Though it is very underrated in legal education as of now, but curiosity is what would take you further. And I would say it is curiosity that would force you to hold on to the profession even when you feel very overwhelmed, and even when you have this feeling of giving up. It is only the curiosity that would, like, serve as that ray of hope that would hold you there. Next, moving on to why publish. We have discussed why we have to publish. So slide 3 is done actually, right? Yeah, we'll get there. And shift best site and way to research. We will get there eventually. So what I planned was I would divide the session into 2 segments. First, we are discussing importance of publishing and publishing in general. And then the part 2 of the session would be about why publishing matters. I would be to be able to write a research paper from scratch. So we'll discuss how do we choose a topic into researchable title, all of that stuff in the later part of the session, and then we'll discuss the sites, best sites to publish and stuff like that as well. So, what is the types of publishing that you can do in the legal domain, if anybody has an idea about that? Anyone?
I'm publishing journals.
Okay. What else? Journal is a very broad term actually. You kind of publish chapters of a journal. So when I first thought of publishing as a student, I'm saying, the first thing that came to my mind was a research paper. I thought publishing is a very lengthy job. All you can publish is 8,000 to 10,000 word research paper, and it is very intensive task, all of that stuff. That is my student mindset. And since you all are third, fourth, fifth year law students, so that is what I'm trying to connect it with. Analysis of situation or some will, right? So today publishing has a very broad spectrum, I would say. So for a start, LinkedIn is a good place to, like, start publishing just for trial and experimental basis, no cost publishing, you can say, and then you can also get opinions from your network and stuff like that. If you want your writing to be reviewed, and if you're not confident enough to be able to submit it to a journal altogether, you can consider starting from there. And then there are legal blogs, of course, there are case reviews, there are case commentaries. A research paper typically is like 5,000 to 10,000 words long. And then there are articles, legal articles that you can publish over Manupatra and websites like that. And then there's conference papers. The conference papers, I wanted to outline that. Uh, Time to time, these law colleges and universities, they conduct conferences on specific themes or law in general. So participating in conferences builds confidence, and you submit your research paper as well. So they have this publication particularly dedicated to that conference, wherein all the selected papers get published as well. And there are also giving you titles like best paper and best presenter and stuff like that. One of the perks of these competitions is that they suggest your paper to websites like uh, Springer, and you know, let me check, just a minute. So they get you to, no, moot court doesn't come into publishing. It's more of the uh, litigation side of the things. And moot court does not have any publications as such, but these I'm talking about the conferences. You can go to Google, you can search, even at LinkedIn you can go and search for law conferences. LinkedIn gives you so many ongoing conferences. They come in two modes. There are either online conferences or offline hybrid mode of conferences. So even if you want to present your papers online, you can do that as well. I have participated in 2 to 3 international conferences, one of which was on human rights, right? So I wrote this paper called Silent Scars, Impact of Domestic Violence on Children. So the thought process that I'm trying to
Excuse me,
convey
ma'am.
is that,
Ma'am, can
yeah,
we get your research paper? Can we get your research paper?
yeah, I will be sharing that with you in the WhatsApp group after the session, probably. But like I was narrating to you this approach that I had when I had written that uh, paper for conference. It was called Silent Scars, right? So it talked about the effect that domestic violence had upon children. So we had this domestic violence case, and the son of our client, he was 15 years old or something, and he developed type 2 diabetes. So that is how I kind of was curious that, the effect of mental strain on children had been long ignored by the law. We do not have any express provisions as such and all of that. So I decide that is the trigger that made me write that research paper, which got selected to an international conference. The conference was held in Delhi, if I'm not wrong, but I did an online presentation and it was a very good experience. So the questions are around you. You'll have to be open. You'll have to ask uh, things that nobody had thought of before, and when that thought comes, you'll have to note it down, and that is how you develop a research question that has not already been discussed, and that would help you stand out in competitions, conferences, or even in the legal research and publishing domain. The one thing that I want you all to be careful about is there are so many predatory publishing sites in the present times, because students are desperate to publish, and unfortunately, people have made it a business model as well. So you'll have to be very careful when you're submitting your articles, research papers, whatever, to platforms, and make sure that you're not overpaying for their services. Uh, a range of 800,000 to 1200 is still okay for a research paper to be published. That is the basic publishing charge that a good journal charges, but beyond that I would not suggest, or maybe you'll have to do your due diligence to be able to figure out if it is a predatory publishing platform or a genuine one. Are you guys there with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
doubts? Any doubts till here?
No, ma'am. Absolutely good session.
No, ma'am.
Interesting, boring, sleepy
Very,
already?
very interesting.
Sakshi, can we just go through the slides once? I did not realize this is on slide 1 only. Why publish? We discussed why publish. Next. Okay, so publishing journey. This is my favorite part, and I don't know how I missed it. I am sorry. So, publishing journey is where students usually underestimate the process. Most people, we imagine publishing, including me, how a research topic can be new. Farid will discuss it again. I am anyways going to help you guys understand how to narrow down a topic and how to make it into a researchable title. So we will discuss it again, no problem. Talking about the publishing journey, what I thought during my student days was that publishing was about, I would have an idea, I would write it down, I would publish it, and it is done. Because poetry is something that we do it that way only. We have a random thought and we start writing, and like, theek hai, a poem, we have it in hand. It's like that, okay? But legal research and writing, in reality, it is an effort intensive. It is not something very random that you can just have an idea, start and complete it, and then get published. In reality, I would say publishing journey is an idea, then research, reading, writing, deleting, rewriting, formatting, citations, proofreading, submission. And after submission is when the wait actually begins. Then comes the reviewer comments. So every journal has a reviewer. uh, the reviewer checks whether your paper is complying with all of the requirements of that particular journal, because every journal requires the particular pattern of paper that they publish. So you cannot randomly send an article to send a legal article and submit it to a legal journal. They would not accept that. They kind of give you this a complete PDF of instructions that is to be followed and complied with, and you submit your paper with complying with all those instructions. Even after that, you will get a reviewer comment. uh, Sorry, was somebody saying anything? Okay. So post submission, your reviewer basically he contacts you and then gives you all the instructions relating to what is to be changed and what part of your paper is to be deleted. Your paper goes through the plagiarism check, and now we have AI detectors as well. So all of that happens, and then you are required to revise your paper again in accordance to what the reviewer has said, then resubmit, and then finally your paper gets accepted. Even after acceptance, there are times when you need to prove correct. um, Basically it relates to technical aspects of the paper. And then you'll have to I'm sorry, and then you'll have to sign this agreement with the publisher that they can publish your content under their names and everything of that sort. Those technical arrangements that are simple part, but then compulsorily done. Then comes the announcement part, that you go and announce your publication on LinkedIn, and all of this process that is very well hidden from the social media. And even after publishing, there are times when readers critique your work, and that learning never stops, right? So this is actually the actual journey of publishing. It's not just that you have an idea, you start writing immediately, and then you get your papers published. And if it is happening the other way around, then uh, that is a red flag, basically, that the emails that you receive that your paper has been selected will get published in 24 hours, and then they require a payment of so and so amount to be done. All of that is a trap, and you'll have to be very careful. I am saving you uh, years of time, and say even expenses, repeating the same statement again and again, because I have been a prey to all of this as well in my early years of publishing. And I have lost some of my best work to these predatory publishers, right?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
मैम माई सेल्फ रितेश शर्मा वेरी गुड इवनिंग मैम मुझे ये पूछना था एक्चुअली मैंने ना कल का मेरा ना सेशन मिस हो गया था एक्चुअली तो मेरे को पूछना था जो मैंने उससे पहले लिया था मतलब कि जो मैंने सेशन मंडे को लिया था मैं उसका ना सर्टिफिकेट नहीं आया मेरे पे मैंने फॉर्म भी फिल कर दिया था सर्टिफिकेट का
Okay.
हाँ जी हाँ जी
The team will look after that, Ritesh. Hello. Yeah.
ओके ओके सॉरी इट्स ओके ओके वेलकम
So We'll continue. Can we move to the next slide, please? Choosing the right journal. Yeah, so we did this as well. So every journal has this ISSN number that you'll have to check for sure before submitting. Through the ISSN number, you can actually go to the Google Scholar, check for the existence of the journal, and then check out the previous papers and see if the journal is actually publishing on a regular basis or it's like once in a year. There are annual and biannual journals as well, but when you're publishing, when you're approaching to send in an submission to any journal, first things first, check their ISS and legitimacy, and then the ethical standards, of course. You'll have to check the scope and relevance of whether the journal actually publishes what you're proposing to send, or it matches the style that you're writing. For example, if a journal publishes only research papers and you're considering to send in an article, that is not going to work. And when you kind of do not hear back from what you're from the submission, after the submission, or when you get rejected, there's this self morale that is adversely affected as well. So this checklist, you can screenshot this slide and then make sure that you're actually publishing where your work deserves to be published, right? So imagine you have spent 3 months writing a paper and then you have submitted it to a predatory publishing. So all your hard work is going to go in vain. So you'll have to save yourself from all of that. I researched. Okay, I am writing a research paper, but I'm confused what to write. I mean, I researched about the topic. Yeah, we'll get there. Samatya Bose, right? We'll get there within 10 minutes, okay? So next, you can screenshot this slide for future reference as well. And this will, trust me, save you a lot of time that you would spend experiencing all of that. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah, we did discuss this. Red flags to watch, no genuine peer review and all. Research platform. We will get back to this as well. I want to go to the transition slide as of now because it's already 7:10 and I don't want to miss out on the major segment. Can we get to the transition slide, please? Yeah, this one. So far we have discussed where about why research is important and how it goes, brief of how it goes. Now let us talk about the actual problem that the students face and all the doubts that you all are having, where research actually begins. Okay. So
मैम ये
let
वैसे
me get
आप
there.
मैम वैसे आप ये कौन से उस पे टॉपिक पे पढ़ा
चार्जर
रितेश, it's called legal research and publishing.
ओके
इसी
ओके
पर डिस्कशन चल रहा है. So let's discuss where the research begins, and I'll tell you honestly, research does not begin inside the libraries or articles that you are trying to find them into, or in the law books or anywhere else. It actually begins in your mind, and I'm telling you this very honestly and with experience. So finding a topic, as I said earlier, it is nobody can suggest a topic that you have to research on. It is your curiosity that will take you there. You'll have to watch your own patterns of thought that, like for an example, somebody is very interested into criminal law. So when we had come across the new criminal laws, the BNSS, BSA, and uh, BNS, first things that a curious person would typically think is, why would the government need to bring in these laws? And the most of the material that got published during those days was why new criminal laws. That is how you decide your topic. Now imagine you are watching a court proceeding. One judge interprets a provision differently, and the appellate court, or maybe even the same court, another judge would interpret it differently. Now you'll have to ask yourself, why is there this difference in interpretation? That why part is actually your research topic. Understood? Does this make sense, or like it's
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
okay? So, as a practicing advocate, when I actually got into law practice, this one habit helped me immensely in shaping my research, legal research, and writing domain as well. So, whenever I came across an unusual legal issue, I used to write it down in whatever book, diary, whatever I am carrying. So, those unusual legal instances that you come across, that is what becomes the basis of your research. Now, I'm not saying that at that moment you will be able to frame a research question altogether, but when you come across something that is not usual, uh, suppose if in one instance there was this man who told the judge that I want to go to the jail. Now, is it like actually possible? Do there are there any legal provisions that support his statement, or uh, can the judge initiate contempt proceedings that, a frustrated accused is saying so and so? So that is how you delve deeper. Your curiosity helps, and then that is how you be able to find out that root that becomes the basis of your research, and then you go back home, you do your research, and then you find provisions and stuff like that, and then you decide if that topic is research worthy or there's already all questions answered. I think Farid said please explain, that is why I had to elaborate again. Makes better sense. Okay, so everybody, do one thing. Think about the last legal news that you read, or maybe a Supreme Court judgment that you came across, or maybe any case scenario, and you can share it with me if you feel like doing so. And we can figure out if that is a research oriented topic or okay, anything will work.
The recent judgment given by the Patna High Court that attempt to rape was case.
Okay, so what was the research? What was the legal question involved in that case? If you can recollect. Okay, so somebody wrote, I am doing research on transgender community and have gone through recent bill of transgender. Okay, right. So your approach is right. So what is the legal question involved that you're trying to solve?
Ma'am, can I answer in voice?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, which I identified the gap between the bill, I mean the between the law and the reality. That is, the transgender community can't access the rights which they have, and in ground reality, they faces so much discriminations, and also the bill which introduced the medical identification of the transgenders community, and the conflict between the bill is the Nalsa judgment of Supreme Court that said that self-identification is the final identification of a transgender people. मतलब ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी अगर सेल्फ मतलब वो खुद अगर आइडेंटिफाई कर रहा है एज अ ट्रांसजेंडर तो वो है ट्रांसजेंडर। ये नालसा जजमेंट पे मतलब जो मैंने पढ़ा है नालसा जजमेंट पे ये हुआ था 2000 आई थिंक आई एम नॉट मतलब अवेयर ऑफ द ईयर बट नालसा जजमेंट पे ये हुआ था। पर जो 2026 पे जो बिल लाया गया कि ब्यूरोक्रेटिक असेसमेंट होगा मेडिकल ऑफिसर मतलब मेडिकल
Yes.
जांच होगा तो ये थोड़ा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रहता तो आई एम ट्राइंग टू
So,
आइडेंटिफाई दिस एंड राइट दिस इन माय रिसर्च।
yeah, you basically are saying that there is a gap between the framework and practical
यस
implementation.
यस 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 यस
So
Ma'am,
you
actually,
can,
sorry. Continue, ma'am. Sorry. I'm really sorry.
yeah. So what you can do is, have you framed a topic yet, or have you framed a research question yet?
yes ma'am the same which I have told that the gap between the ground and the framework, this is my question. So how to I mean I will provide some probable solutions which can government take to fill the gap.
Yeah,
But
yeah, understood. So
But
that
ma'am,
is what I was saying.
my problem is what to write. मतलब the structure which I will be used to write that I don't know how to write this. मतलब I
Yeah,
know the
there.
gaps, I know the points, I have that articles, I have that proofs, but I don't know how what to write.
Okay. So, right, first, thank you for sharing that. You have like contributed considerably well to the discussion that I was about to do. And I will give you the framework of a research paper as well. You can note it down and then proceed further. So, what you have discussed is basically that there is this research question that he's working on. I want everybody else to pay attention here, right? So there's this research question that he's working on. Basically, he thinks there's a gap between practical implementation of the legal framework provided for transgenders. So
Ac-
the research question would be, why is that gap? Is there
Yeah.
a gap, or factors affecting that, factors leading to that gap? Now, if
Yes.
you're claiming there is a gap, you will have to identify the factors that is leading to that gap
Yes. ma'am.
in your
Ac-
research, right?
यस मैम एक्चुअली जो मैम जैसा भी सर ने बताया ट्रांसजेंडर्स एक्ट 2020 अमेंडमेंट बिल के बारे में एक्चुअली मैम ये हुआ कि जिस तरीके से मैम जो सोशो कल्चर ट्रांसजेंडर एक्चुअली
Nahin, Saumatya, I am so sorry to interrupt you here, but we are not getting into the discussion of what you are researching actually.
No ma'am, it's not me.
Here, I want to kind of talk about the approach of research, right? So, research gap is identified now. First, people tell me if you understood how that gap is identified.
यस एक्चुअली मैम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ
No,
इंडिया
ma'am.
See,
हेलो
yeah, I can hear you.
एक्चुअली गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया पास दिस
No,
बिल इन
Saumatya, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but let me just try to explain what a research gap is.
Ma'am,
So,
it's not me.
who is this? I'm sorry, I don't know who is speaking.
हेलो आवाज
Anyways, let me.
मैम आवाज आ
Yeah,
रही है
Ritesh. Yeah, tell me.
यस मैम एक्चुअली ट्रांसजेंडर अमेंडमेंट बिल लाइक जिस तरीके से दिस इज नॉट गुड थिंग फॉर
Nahin, Ritesh. We are not getting into the discussion of whether the bill is right or wrong or whatever. I am trying to explain what a research gap is.
yes बट दिस
Yeah,
टाइम
so
openly, but this time I'm openly accepted. I'm part of this community for LGBTQ. My family is not openly supporting and accepted. Reason originally from Haryana, and my family is a very strictness for the my
Yeah,
sexual.
I am sorry to interrupt, Ritesh. I'll get back to you again. Can you please mute yourself as of now? Okay, so we were discussing what a research gap is. So, a research gap, what it typically is understood is in the form that no one has already written about this topic before, and that is perceived to be a research gap, right? But that is not what actually research gap is. So, let me repeat again. What everybody thinks, what law students think is that just because nobody has written upon something, that means that is what serves to be your research gap, and that is what serves to be the guiding force of your research. But that is not the case. Just because something has not been written doesn't mean everything has been answered. And like, for example, when I did this paper on AI generated identity misuse, I have done a paper for another conference. It was basically about the deepfakes and stuff like that, and the misuse of identity of social media content creators basically. But I came across hundreds of papers discussing deepfakes, discussing artificial intelligence, discussing platform liability of the digital platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and everything. But the conclusion that I was trying to find, for example, if a content creator wakes up in the morning and then all of their identity is stolen or misused, or if somebody else is building on that identity, they are kind of monetizing on somebody else's identity. So how is that going to be dealt with by the Supreme Court? So I came across this concept of personality rights. Personality rights is something like the celebrities, they also trademark their own persona. It was like that. But what about the digital content creators and influencers? Yeah, Raj Shamani secured that. So that that research gap between celebrity rights and content creators rights, that you know vacuum, there was a vacuum between them. So that is what served as the research gap, if that is making sense.
मैम मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया.
See, research gap is not about uh what is not written. It's not like ये चीज अभी तक किसी ने लिखी नहीं है तो मैं लिख दूंगी. It's not like that. It's like uh you'll have to do your research, preliminary research, and then identify कि कहाँ पे, like, why is something not provided.
Okay,
Just
okay,
a
now I
minute.
understood. Okay.
So here it's your personal matter, just your. Okay, so I was going to the messages. So research gap basically is about uh, your own observation of asking narrower questions. I want to bring in this new term, the narrow questions, narrowing down your research topic. Like AI, deepfakes, and all of that, it is a broad domain. So you'll have to narrow it down to a particular segment, to a particular problem, or to a particular aspect that has not been identified, yeah, has not been visible before. Uh, if that narrowing down concept makes sense, that is when
Yes,
that
ma'am.
gap, that is when you ask these questions of how you will narrow it down. For example, I mentioned this paper about artificial intelligence misuse and digital content creators. And when I started my research, like first things first, the preliminary research, I felt like everything about it is already written. Then the question came, what happens when AI impersonates content creators and social media influencers? And then the question, what responsibility do digital platforms actually have? Now that gap between celebrity rights and uh, rights of the content creators, that gap became visible only when I asked the narrower questions. And now this became a topic, researchable topic and title. For example, imagine a room full of doctors. Everyone knows what a fever is, right? Everybody knows uh, what diabetes is. But when somebody asked, why do diabetic patients respond differently to the medicine that they are giving for fever? That is what becomes new. I am bringing in this example from medical domain because uh, to give you a perspective of how questions are to be asked. Makes sense. Now there's fever, there's diabetes, but when somebody asks why diabetic patients respond differently to a medicine given for fever, that is what becomes new and that is what becomes your research topic. So if you want to make note of this, you can make it, and maybe it will be helpful in identifying what I'm trying to explain basically. A research gap is not where what nobody has written. I have told this sentence at least 10 times abhi tak. A research gap is not what nobody has written. It is where nobody has answered your question satisfactorily.
मैम मतलब आप बोलना चाहते हो कि अगर हम कोई टॉपिक पे रिसर्च करने का सोच रहे हैं तो हम उस पे जाके एक लूप होल खोजे कि
लूप होल की बात नहीं है. अब आप लाइक इट्स अबाउट आपका सवाल सेटिस्फैक्टरीली आंसर हो रहा है तो ऑलरेडी लिखा हुआ है उसके ऊपर. एंड इफ यू आर लाइक it's about asking the right questions basically. Okay, you keep asking questions, you keep narrowing it down, and then when you find something जिसका आंसर आपको satisfy नहीं कर रहा, so that is what becomes your route to research, and that is like आपका topic मिल जाता आपको, and then you'll have to build upon that topic.
लाइक उसका कोई नया पॉइंट समझें, कोई नया पॉइंट जो मतलब अभी तक नहीं हमें पता उसके रिलेटेड.
See, when you ask questions, you do your research. You find your answers, okay? और जब आपको आंसर नहीं मिल रहा, तो इसका मतलब कि you know, not finding your the satisfactory answers. So there is a gap. जो already existing literature है, that does not satisfy your perspective, right? So that is when you give your opinion.
Sorry for interrupting, ma'am. What was the main domain of research?
Main domain of research as in?
Like, which topic is sufficient for filling the research paper?
No, that is what you have to identify for yourself. Nobody can tell you that.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the question that how to structure my writing in the research paper? As I'm saying that I am
Yeah,
writing the research.
yeah. I am getting there. So let's do this. What we'll do is we'll identify a research gap together. Suppose the topic is privacy. Okay. Now, what comes to your mind when I say privacy?
Right, privacy means, ma'am, first I have my mind that is Article 21, right to privacy.
Now, that
And
is true, broad. And we have sufficient material already on Article 21, correct?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
if you want to narrow down a topic basing on privacy, uh, what is the next thing that comes to your mind that the contemporary legal domain would appreciate? Is digital privacy.
Yes, ma'am.
मैम
But
जैसे हम मैम जैसे
digital
हम अपना
privacy is,
ओके ओके मैम कंटिन्यू मैम
yeah, digital privacy is still a very broad topic to work upon. Now, when you go and check, say, go and search on Google and stuff like that, you will find concerns around digital privacy that are being discussed by professionals already. Even on LinkedIn, you go and type a keyword in the search bar, you will find so many ongoing discussions. So you'll refer all those discussions and see if there's something that is not being discussed, that is being missed out. For example, there's this concept called facial recognition by police, if you all are aware. Or maybe digital privacy ke around, there's this DPDP Act that is being discussed around digital
I have a
protection.
question, ma'am.
Okay,
I have a question.
yeah, who is this?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Your voice is distorted, I cannot hear anything.
Myself, Abhay Pratap Singh. I have a question.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
Um,
Your voice is distorted. Please type
Ma'am,
your question in the messages.
ma'am, he is Abhay Pratap and he has a question about research papers.
Yeah, please type your question in the messages. I'll look into it. Hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay, so we were discussing. Can we move further with the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Finding a research topic is done. Theme, issue, gap. This also we discussed. Yeah, primary and secondary sources. These are the sources that you like refer to when you're doing your research. Okay, so primary sources, it basically includes the statutes, judgments, precedents, and all of that. Just a minute. In my slide. Yeah, all your barracks and statutes and everything, all of that comes into the primary sources. And primary sources basically adds authority to what you're quoting or writing in your research paper. So your primary reliance should be, first reliance should be on your primary resources. And here I would, the secondary resources is like, you might have read a blog or something, the textbook commentaries and all of the books that you refer. So never base your opinions on the legal blogs or commentaries or legal research or journal articles that you have read. When you're framing an opinion, you'll have to rely on sources of authority, which is basically your statute, what your statute, what the law is. Okay, so you'll have to refer your BERAC to make opinions on the law basically, and you'll have to read your judgments yourself. Do not base your opinions, like do not write anything in your research paper based upon the opinion of uh, the case commentaries that you might have read or a legal blog that you might have read. uh, Not the head note, not the summary, until and unless you have read your uh, you have read the judgment yourself. You are not supposed to write uh, like cite that judgment in particular in your paper. And then the methodology part, this the doctrinal and non-doctrinal research. If you guys are aware of what a doctrinal research is, are you all with me?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you explain doctrine research?
Doctrinal research is where you rely upon the existing literature, existing material uh, for your research. You're not doing practical field work, you're not doing surveys, you're not asking people and all of that. You're depending on the second already existing legal material when you're carrying out your research. You basically analyze what the law currently says. That is what doctrinal research is. Another would be analytical research, where you're kind of questioning what is being said, and you're questioning if this law is to be continued. You are asking questions like, is it fair? Has the law achieved its objective? All of that stuff that comes under analytical research. Then there's this type of research called comparative research. Comparative research, in most of the cases, you kind of compare international approaches and what is going on in India. And now comparative research has become more predominant because of the advancement in technology and use of AI and all of that. So it's because technology does not, uh, respect national borders. So naturally, you'll have to explore what international law developments are there as well when you're writing papers upon topics revolving around digital data, AI, technology, and all of that. Then the non-doctrinal research, the empirical research, where you conduct surveys, where you interview people, where you circulate questionnaire forms. That is the in-field, on-field observations. And that is how you analyze how law actually functions in reality. It's not merely written. So the paper structure that we were discussing, a typical legal research paper, it follows a structure like first things first, the introduction chapter. Introduction chapter, you write your research objective, you write your research question, your approach to research, and everything. It introduces all that you're going to do in the research. Okay, first you have your introduction chapter. Next comes the research methodology, where you describe your approach to research, uh, like which form of research you're using. If you're doing an empirical research, how many members, how many questionnaire forms you're about to circulate. Yeah, how if you're doing a doctrinal research, what sort of secondary material are you relying upon? How many articles are you referring to? All of that goes into the second chapter of your research paper. Then comes the third chapter, which in doctrinal research is your literature review chapter. So literature review, I would want to specify that it's not like reading a list. It's not like you're summarizing available materials. It has to be conversational in nature, because every scholar has a different opinion. What you have to do is you'll have to analyze what that particular article, what that literary material is trying to convey to you. And then you'll have to give your opinion on that as well. That is how literature review is done. You do not just list articles that this article says this articles have found this and all of that stuff. So it's very important when you're writing a uh, your own research paper. It's important that you compare, contrast what two different authors are saying, and then you draw your own conclusion on what is being said. Then comes your findings and discussions chapter, which is a, like as the name suggests, is the discussion of everything that you found out in the previous chapter. For example, you're doing a literature review, and then you give your all the findings in findings and discussions. Here you do not write your conclusion yet. And then findings and discussions, then comes the recommendations, then finally the conclusion. Is it clear? Somebody was asking the pattern of paper to be followed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
यस मैम, जैसे हम
Any
अगर रिसर्च
doubts?
पेपर जाते हैं तो कौन सा पैटर्न रहेगा, किससे हम स्टार्ट
हाँ,
करेंगे,
अभी
व्हाई
तो
हम?
लिस्ट किया है ना मैंने. I have gave you the list of chapters, chapterization to be followed. So guys, do you have any doubts? Is there anything that you want to discuss further? One important part that I missed is about referencing and how important referencing is. Are you guys in the frame of mind to hear? Are you guys with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
aware? Anybody aware of what referencing is? Referencing, citation, anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Footnotes?
Which articles we are using or which
No, ma'am.
journals we are using for research, that link we have to provide, or the name, citation, case laws, the
Right,
citation we
right.
have to provide in the references.
Basically, sources that we use for research.
Correct, correct. Very good. So, it is important that you follow a like the same referencing style throughout the paper. So you have so many different referencing styles available. There's APA referencing, there's MLA referencing, there's Chicago, and in law research papers, most of the journals they prefer Oscolo reference, right? So there's Blue Book referencing. So Oscolo reference is what the legal journals usually prefer. It's very simple. There's this prime. There's this handbook that I follow. There's one PDF that I have in hand. I will like get it forwarded to you all over the group. But referencing is important because it basically shows the publisher that you have done your homework right. You have duly given the credits of whatever information you have used, because every information that you're using and you're basing your opinion upon is somebody else's copyrighted work, right? So you'll have to give due credits to the authors uh, whose papers you are using as references. So that is what referencing basically does. Or Scholome, it is to be done in the footnotes, and then you also make a reference list at the end of the paper. I will send the PDF as well. No worries. And like there are also online reference list generate, not reference list. There are these tools that help you format your referencing style in the right way. But I prefer doing it manually, at least, because I do not trust any AI tool with it. I have got my paper rejected because of inconsistent referencing once. So I prefer doing it manually, but you can try an error and you can get it done in whichever way convenient to you.
Ma'am, please send us
Yeah.
your research papers.
Yeah, I will forward it to the team and they'll share it in the group after the session. So, if you have any questions, any further discussions, you can
Ma'am,
tell me.
ma'am, please, next topic as a public policy, maybe as a human rights.
Okay, I will take
Because
that into
that topic,
consideration.
yes.
Yeah, we can take that into consideration. Anything else about today's discussion?
Thank you, ma'am.
I Claude can help you in research. I would not prefer ChatGPT at all. ChatGPT does not, is not reliable for citations and for research, not for judgments. Like, it's a big no-no. Claude can help you through, but you can use AI to maybe summarize an article that you are referring, summarize a research paper and things like that. I would suggest manually searching for your own references and everything, and then taking the help of AI for narrowing things down for you, just for saving your time. But Claude does a better work as compared to ChatGPT. I do not use any other AI sources of now.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Ma'am, after writing in a research paper, if we have to present that, how we present that?
So you do not present your entire paper. Uh, how conferences operate in general is, first things first, you send them your abstract. Abstract may you kind of give a proposal of what you are planning to research. You write down your research question and the approach of research that you are going to adopt and all. Once your abstract is selected, they send you the acceptance email, and then you receive this uh, invitation for presentation as well. So you can either opt to present or only to publish. You will have two options. So when you're opting to present, once you submit your research paper for publishing, the same content you put it into a PPT slide or something, and then you present a brief of it. The entire paper is not presented over the conference. It's a brief discussion of what you have done, what you have found, and what are your key recommendations and everything. Just
Okay,
like that.
ma'am. I mean,
And
the
then later,
summary.
more like a summary of the findings.
Okay, if there are three subtopics which I am covering, then I have to brief in summary that I have discussed, and this what I am trying to do, the fill the
Yeah.
gap, or any
First
data which
things
I am putting.
first things first, you'll have to tell them why you thought that this research is necessary. So you'll have to convince them on that, and then what like you'll have to discuss what were the findings of your research, what approaches you have adopted, and the recommendations that you are suggesting. So the key things that of your research are to be presented in the conference, and later the publishing part is a different line that will go as it is.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, then we would end it here. I would
Thank you
end
so
with,
much, ma'am. Thank you.
yeah. Okay.
It was very
Uh,
insightful, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Thank you, ma'am.
as we wrap up today's session, I would like to make an announcement of a competition which is being organized by the Collective Council. That is India's first bail advocacy competition, a national level platform created for
Thank
aspiring litigators. In this competition, you will compete against law students from across country.
thank you so
Today is
much, ma'am.
the last day for registration for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, I would express our sincere appreciation to Advocate Malika Jabeen ma'am for taking the time to share her valuable insights, experience, and practical knowledge with us. Before you leave, please take a moment to fill the feedback form that is being shared in the chat box. Your feedback is highly assist us in organizing more meaningful and impactful session. Now let's capture this moment with a quick photograph. I request everyone to kindly turn on their camera so we can take a photo together.
Yeah, it has been a nice session, guys. Thank you all for being very interactive.
Thank you all so much for your active participation. We look forward for having you with us again in our upcoming session.